Dariwa nebigori byonsi.
Biamano sana umwanchi omuliyebeta Kisii and Nyamira TV no gasemere kwane mna no gendete kwego kile mirubelio aimigeta Kisii and Nyamira TV ne biro binde ndengo kwaligania asomurubelio bwense yo bonchirelia elinde tuimanye na regendete kokorekana ase sector yo astariki challenge stariki isano na isato chumutinyo kianda mwako yega wechiri bubere emerongebere na isato mwanchi omulielia nabo kwenda gutobwatia asinsemo chichi mitandao asinsemo ya Facebook gwetera Ndizi TV News Digital nabo igasensemere ya YouTube gwetera Ndizi TV News asinsemo ya website nabo gotonya gwetera www.ndizitv.net Fridah ne Fridah Kerubo kwaligani bene ili ntasanga sobwa mugo chakabona igagwika omulimo nchuli nabo kumanyanga na kyoroche amagoli yagendete kwene kigwa ase chichiro nimete kwabiri kugotalira chichiro sorgongo rwa Gusii nabo kumanya asense ya Kenya na kyoroche bintu bigendete gonchurilia nabo igemero bile serikali gendete kubeka meikirano asoko ne kinga uchumi ya Kenya nkogenderere kogororoka mwanchumulia sanga na Ense wetera sinambiriga bose screen yago nabo igomanye ngayiyo kobwatia omoroberi korum mwanchumulia timedi wese kwabiri kugotarira somocho oil doret nkumanyiwa nga omocho oil doret no mochigete ochenegete oro musafi timeti roberi kia serikali ye county ya Uasin Gishu yaberege kobeka soko nekinga omocholi nkomeso tokonyara gotende yonsikerutire Ense tokonyara chichube chitsokonyara macho chichube che soda chirutire igono mochiora betekero no nayo gotara okogokera gotarira somocholi hono mwanchumuli twira nasi county ya Kisii naruchenga of course abantu mbaroroba kwa busase tutebase chiro ya itombaroroba balikene serikali ya county ya Kisii kwene kinga omochioli noro nkorabole kono mwanchumulilia egento bweneta kwebolinga ekero gotaraso omochiobo songo nakikwa gokoyorora akorengana naye nonya na mazingira ali arororo nakiyukuyuligiririoli no chenegete nobe gokoyo compare no mochiel doret go mwanchumulia kora tumanyingo nabamenyikora sorgongo rwa Gusii batali kolendo muchito gose na emirobili tabekiro mekera ne serikali soko nikinga omochioyo no gendrete kogochenika ntwaro chama tukabwango iganga ndombaro babete bakobekwa nga abaine kyobo chenwa somochioli akolende chisagasaga nchabete chiko ene kiwara kini nto chiko kumanya mange ningi yakwerekera kugenda gusanga na intwe o manyinga mirobili kia serikali bwenete kobeka nelinga babeka se gotego gotugutwa nonyo kwata kunige stigam kia gotugukiruta sera migoro kwa ene kinga sinaro robwenete ukebeka babeke ase gotego tutwa kere kona somochi elindo mochobe gokoba omurabu go mwanchumulia nayo metekero mwabekero kwa butere no na avocado no ne litunda no bwata sokoruta lisa abolire toliko liruta gosege sieli gosense gali sikwa butere se compound ya wesiko asina rokwenda kwa beke goto yakubuya kwa bagoko gokwesamba buye igotomanyingo naro ase county ya Kisii yakogeranga okonyaranga umuntu akonywa mache chibelie plastic ya masa ya takeaway konyaranga kera koli no akoyerutanza umuntu nyura mabere ka gukora no na sichigali chito mwanchumulirie kero go travel angoro linga chigali chindi nchiro chigutwara chi dustbin asinge ncho yake kero kwalire asekero kwanyura mache sekero kwalire gesuguti osekende yonsikili kwalire kero more asoro gendo kwene kyolinga egoteli naboko yetuguta ase bwenerete umwanchumulie manyingo ningi kebweneta kokorwa ase county ya Kisii gusaso muchibo songo linda ko ene kyobo chenu bwekerengo kegor monekero turo chumanjumulire wiki yega yabeire wiki yogosemya abantu nakibo bweneta kolinda ebito etana nigo manchumulire agenda gusangana intwe asomorobile wense oboncheria elindi tokomanye amange bono mambya kono manchumulire atetoralilia sensemende atobiri tokoranga matukabwango igogo ichorera na kwabere go kwene kigwa sensemeri ya Nyayo house hanemono asa bantu bali pale kwirigeria chi passport maybe chigo travel go cha chinse chiri chaisco bakaba kwemurungani nga edile igo sogotebana nigo kwabere go kwene kigwa ikiagera nga chilaini nigo charinge chintambe system yare go kore mirimo kwene kinga bandongo nyaro bari chi passport nigo yare ko igokora ngora ikagera nga mwaziri bw'oburendi bw'ima kaimukiye getambukira nabo gwikira na sinsemo chiri nabo igokweneke nga nkubikale mirobiri emikirano asoka nike ngakera oyomo oberiga kwenyorera chi passport kuri no mwanchu mulire ntoka niti kumanya mange mirobiri kiri abetega kubeka nande nege kakenga na ki kerabege koira ilindo muntu kwenyorera passport ya yekera apply igo mwanchu mulire nabo gosanga nje ontebinga kwa biri kugotarira sinsemo chiri kwa biri ku apply passport yage kingana na kikyabetege koira okamenya ko enyora iga chinga kitogendete gusanga so mu rubiri ga wensi obonchire nabo ko meta bantu mbaroro ko orora bakwe murungani kurinde kwamenya konyora nga mbara batari kubwatia amagani ali atakeire iwo manchu muliria nabo gusanga nenche gwetera sinamba iga screen yago umanyinga ne serikali koira chinga kichinyinge sogosokia chi passport usina maganiara amange ayo akoira chinga kichinyinge ko yarigereria gosikera umuntu ikeranire ne serikali tarabeke mirobiri mikera no soko ne kingobo koleri bwabo no bwabo ngo ikoteto sa sensemo ya kabere ye studio toigwe nga kyo mwaziri abeteka goikirana sinsemecho mirobiri kieli abeteka kobeka na boigo ika kingana na kyaba Kenya barabe bakogenderera kuganya chi passport chabo.
We were trying to see where we are. First, there is of course a lot of improvement. We are in a better place than where we were last week. The queues are shorter, the movement is faster, but still we have a journey to travel. And therefore, much of today, we have been doing strategy with the teams here. Because as I promised, we must crack this problem. So we think we are there, we are almost there. There is still a lot of work to be done. And in fact, I have a continuation of this meeting I have had today, tomorrow from 5 a.m. And the end result is going to be as follows. That in 10 days from now, there will be no single backlog matter on passports. We will deliver as promised. In between, a lot of things to be done. So I think that's all what I can say for now, because there are issues of production that are still outstanding, but I don't want to speak to them now, because what is critical is what the people of Kenya should expect. So that's all what I can say. Now we discovered that in between the last time I was here and now, we've had new challenges, and we've seen how to address those challenges so that we make sure that even the new applications that are coming in are also processed in such a way that they don't create another backlog after we have cleared with the current backlog. So far so good. A lot of improvements, but also a lot of things that are not yet done. The crowds are still big. It should not be like that. So we hope by the time we clear the backlog in the next 10, 11 days, we will have addressed the crowd issue. And you will not see the picture that you're seeing here. But generally, we are good. We are on course. Long-term issues, we address them once the backlog issue is addressed. Because you have long-term issues on policy matters about production of passports, the application process, and whether we will continue having people to come here to queue for their documents, or we are going to develop other methods where citizens are treated in a more orderly manner without coming to queue here. So those are policy issues, but we have parked those issues until after the backlog issue is completely removed. It's mainly a change of strategy, just change of strategy. As I announced last week, we have made arrangements for more equipment. The equipment has not arrived. The new equipment has not arrived. As you are aware, we must use the government procedures on procurement. And so our hands are tied to how fast we can do some things. Mainly it is management of the caseload that we have, that we are working on, and every day we are getting better and better. In fact, even in between and the 10-11 days from now, we'll also make other administrative changes here, including the numbers of our customer care personnel, but also separate facilities for expectant mothers, mothers who are lactating, and mothers of infants, and persons with disability. And because we feel that area we are not doing very well, but also the banking halls, more spacious banking halls, separating applicants who are foreign nationals and Kenyan citizens. So all those things are going on, and it's a work in progress. The only assurance I want to give today is that the backlog will not be there in the next 10-11 days. We'll have cleared it, and it will never accumulate again. And the work we are doing here is to make sure that the strategies we put in place outlive the current officers who are holding office at the moment. So we are making structural, institutional, and systemic arrangements to make sure that they are long-term. So that's where we are. I know you are keen to the day we will call you to tell the people of Kenya that if there is anybody there whose passport has not been printed within 7 days to raise up their hand, that time is coming. Otherwise, I wish you all the best. And as I said, really, when we are around, you don't have to come. We will call you when we have progress. In fact, I'm shocked, Francis, you didn't tell me these colleagues are here. Because it's a painful process for the people of Kenya. What the people of Kenya are going through is very painful. It should not have happened in the first place, but this is where we are. The solution is not to lament. The solution is to fix it, and to fix it in such a manner that it never reoccurs again. We have a different matter, which I don't want to introduce now, and that is the issue of the certificates of good conduct and police clearances, which is also getting catastrophic. In the same manner, once we are aligned here, we have also started engaging the DCI to ensure that also that system is brought back to order. So nawashukuru sana. Ni hayo tu kwa sasa. Tunaendelea kurekebisha utaratibu ambao tunatumia hapa katika kuwahudumia wananchi. Tumeona ya kwamba tumeongeza ubora wa huduma hapa kwa njia kiasi, lakini bado tuko na changamoto, kwa sababu tuko na zaidi ya Wakenya karibu 1000.
yake gima mwanchi omulieria oino mwaziri w'oburendi bw'ime Kithure Kindiki nemeroberia berega kubika emekero no asoko enekia ng'akera oyomo nkoenyorera are passport yae asobwango asainekire bunanigo babere bakoenana amatuko 10 ende koeneking'a obokoreri obo bwabeire bwogoikerana kondo mwanchi omulieria nigo tokoenda sensemende ime county ya Nairobi stokorigereria okubokoreri sensemeriereri kero kurigereria nigo Kenya Railways babete bakonyora ogosirwa korwa sensemeri ya UK ase prime cabinet Musalia Davadi anegatinga Italy alone kolende ne grant bakoegwa asinginchio koenekanga obokoreri ase chinsemo chiringo kolekana bure boikerano gukwana kora ase chinsemo chyo nigetinga kero kurigereria county ya Nairobi abantu chiribu 30 nigo bagotumika railway gosereri ase okorwa enseme ya mogochia sensemende kolende nigo agokero bokoreri ase nsemecho anomono asoko enekenga ngotumika bare technology enye ende kwanekenga sector sensemeriere ngokoriere buyaigo babere bakonyora ogosirwa asogo chiko enekenga obokoreri ase nsemo chiri ngokorekana bure bwikerano.
This is concessionary funding, all right? It is not a program that is on a commercial loan basis. It is concessionary funding. That is absolutely important based on the fact that the President has been talking about the need to look at how African countries can have access to credit at more affordable rates. So this is a package that emboldens all this. I think it's a win-win for all of us. Yes. 30,000 people on a daily basis, moving in and out. Try and picture that. 30,000 human beings at any one day. You can imagine the traffic, the economy around it. So it is going to really be something. The second point that I would like you to try and imagine is that, remember, Kenya grew out of the railway system. That is how the whole economic system was wired, around the railway system. Now, at the culmination of this, there is perhaps some kind of renaissance of a new process of growth for the economy.
Next April in London we have the UK-Africa Investment Summit and our Prime Minister has invited President Ruto and many other, 25 countries in Africa to come to that summit. We hope the summit is going to lead to billions of pounds of investment, trade, business being conducted, and I have no doubt at all that this project here and how it's going will be a really important issue at that conference at that time.
Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed.
And this is a signature project between Britain and Kenya, and nothing signifies the relationship than the railway itself. And to be regenerating this railway land and the railway projects and modernizing them is also symbolic to our relationship that should continue being regenerated and deepened and widened to make sure that we continue working together for the benefit of the people of Kenya and the people of the UK and the world. This is going to be something magnificent once it's delivered. I have no doubt in my mind that we'll do so. We'll do our part as a ministry and as a country, working together collectively with all the partners, partner ministries, with the coordination of our Prime Cabinet Secretary here, and we have no doubt that we are going to deliver this project.
In the same way that then the great capital for the region that I was born, we believe that at full scale this program will completely transform the economy of the city in the face of Nairobi downtown. So we are very excited as the county government of Nairobi and really grateful to our partners and to different countries, especially Britain, the UK, because they are our oldest bilateral partner, of course with our history together. We're now writing a new page. And so even as the project goes along, we'll keep briefing you what the different steps. A lot of public participation is going to take place because there are many people who are going to be affected positively as we move along. But the county government is working hand in hand with the ministry, and the minister is here as
Nababwatani kurwase county ya Nairobi bakoragwa n'umugavana we county iyo Johnson Sakaja uyo enekiri okubwaterana asokwedekia obukoreri obuya ase sekta y'obosombi nabaigo waziri w'obosombi nigabeire gakoenekia gaguchikubika emirobiri emikire na sokoenekia obukoreri obuya ase Ensemeli y'obutumiki wereri mwanchimuli togosika motu ase Ensemende anigo abarai kurwase gosabara yabanene kurwase Ense chirichia East African Community babete bagutwara egeikaro imemo chio Nairobi so kumulikira amangana a omanchimuli ntometenga akero political stability ero no bonchire ni gobokorekana boikira nonye keregento ni goke kogendera abuya ikero kuligeria nga emirobiri nero babete bakobeka asoko enekianga babiri bakumulikira ali babiri bagwikirania ase okubwaterana n'abarayi b'Ense naboigo kwenekia nga emirobiri yabo asa machika ali babete bakobeka banegetinga litukolia lero nalio yale go expire igo bakaba bago extend duration eyo go ikachitalikisana na iseto motenyu 12 omwaka yiga akono mwanchimuli yete tumulikirango gati ali babete bago kwanera chinga kibatwalete ikaro kyabo.
The 22nd Extraordinary Summit of the East African Community Heads of State held today, the 5th September 2023, in Nairobi, Kenya. Communiques reads, the East African Community Heads of State, Their Excellencies Evariste Ndayishimiye, President of the Republic of Burundi, His Excellency Salva Kiir Mayardit, President of the Republic of South Sudan, His Excellency Dr. William Samoei Ruto, President of the Republic of Kenya, His Excellency Paul Kagame, President of the Republic of Rwanda, Her Excellency Dr. Samia Suluhu Hassan, President of the United Republic of Tanzania, Honorable Jean-Michel Samia Lukonde, Prime Minister representing His Excellency Felix Tshisekedi Tshilombo, President of the Democratic Republic of Congo, the Right Honorable Rebecca Kadaga, First Deputy Prime Minister, representing His Excellency President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni of the Republic of Uganda, held their extraordinary summit today, the 5th of September, in Nairobi. The heads of state took note of the following. One, the operational milestone achieved by the EAC regional force towards restoration of security in the Eastern DRC, pursuant to previous directives of the summit on the implementation of the EAC-led Nairobi process. Two, they noted that the current mandate of the regional force will be expiring on 8th September 2023. That is about 3 days away from today. They took note with appreciation the financial contribution by African Union Commission of $2 million towards the East African Regional Force. Therefore, the heads of state agreed to extend duration of the mandate of the East African Community Regional Force and the Status of Forces Agreement for a further period of 3 months, as from 9th September 2023 to 8th December 2023, pending an evaluation report from the Council of Ministers. The heads of state, while applauding His Excellency President Tshisekedi for his commitment to restoration of peace in Eastern DRC, they thanked His Excellency President Ndayishimiye, who is the President of Burundi and the chairperson of the Summit of the EAC Heads of States, for his continued engagement and commitment towards supporting the people of Democratic Republic of Congo in their pursuit for sustainable peace and security. The heads of state thanked President Dr. William Samoei Ruto of the Republic of Kenya for the warm and cordial hospitality accorded to them and their delegation during their stay in Nairobi. It was done today in Nairobi on this 5th day of September 2023 by all the partner states of the East African Community.
Serikali ya kaunti ya Lamu nigo egendete kwiroberia samorokererio iyo kwinyera igikuru kiabo ekero mwanchi muri atumetinga ekero muroberi buno yule na manga guchiaga korekana abantu nguru bali chinsemo aba gwikirana se kaunti ya Lamu singincho yokuligereria amangana ekero chinga kiechia somoroberi yo nigo bonchireria bogokina ekiagera nonya abantu ngango sobara sichi hotel benyorera kende baragera gusebara ororo kubatkana no moroberi yo chinga kiokoira kera lendo manchumulira yanse agende tokokolekana enyore county ya Lamu abantu mbaroro bakurusi bintu kurwa sinsemo awekera se county ilio anamona sabantere bababere bakwemurunganinga wali bakubogolia chi container abere bakwemurunganinga nigo chinyomba cyabere kigokea chinyomba cyokorara anamonekera abantu abangi babere bagochirira na sinseme chiboyigo nigo babere bakwemurunganinga nigo obokoleria se county yo botarabo boikirano kero konyoranga county yo nigere underdeveloped asbabulie serikali gosire county yo nabo gokonekenga amagendero ngo ikirana anamona sinsemo yo bwagachibwe chipara ubwagachibwe chinyomba sibabuli bali bonse baganite ko gacha enibo yabo konekenga ngo ikirana bale ase county ya Lamu nabo yokonekenga noembara bungu wagacha bali chinyomba gosengwa gacha bali chihoteli asengencho gosase kiringa kyugukinia county yo.
Wito wangu kwa wenyeji wa Lamu ni kuwa sasa ni wakati wa kuwekeza katika kaunti ya Lamu kwa jumla. Wageni ambao wako hapa sasa hawana mahali pa kulala. Madereva ni wengi sana. Tuko hapa na lori saizi zaidi ya lori 300. Na hizo lori zote zinataka mahali ya kulala. Kila lori iko na watu wawili. Dereva na tandbo. Na lazima wapate mahali pa kulala. Na hizo nyumba za kulala haziko za kutosha. So sisi tunaomba watu wa Lamu na wawekezaji wengine kutoka nje wakuje hapa waweke manyumba, waweke mahoteli ili hao watu waweze kulala, waweze kukula chakula vizuri na waweze kununua vitu vidogo vya haja.
Part nyingi ya Kenya iko northern part na area hii haijakuwa develop vizuri kwa sababu hakujakuwa na barabara mzuri. So mradi huu wa LAPSSET lengo kubwa ni kufungua nchi yote. Ndio county zote hizi zitakuwa zikiparticipate katika kucontribute to the growth of the GDP of this country.
Yake kimo mwancho mulieni otoganita gusanga imeo morobelio wense yo bonchelia stoganita gukwanira igoro yo bokoleri ase sector yo imense ya Kenya katokulilia litkolia igora bobatanikora sensema ya East African Breweries Limited ambabete bagwikira nabo siwe Senate gusibwe committee ya Senate yo komulikira amangana yo bonchelia elinde kuligerelia obokoleri bwabogati abali babete bagwikirana no managing director Jen Kariuki oyobetega kwegerera EABL asenegetianga nigo babwate chi shares cyabo 15% echo chigendete konekyanga obokoleri bwa EABL wose East African Breweries Limited ango koliere boikirano go manchumuli tangu tosange na barabo elinde toenekinga nare yabeteka gokolekana sensemejo.
If there was any tax evasion or any other kind of activity which was against the law, then the authorities in Kenya are very able and are very capable of investigating and even sanctioning whoever may be breaching the law. In our case, we have not received any such sanction notices. There are no enforcement actions from anyone. We do our level best as corporate citizens and a huge corporate citizen of this country to comply with the law, and we have the highest standards of corporate governance, of compliance. There are teams and teams under Nadida over here who are in charge of compliance with the law. We set standards for ourselves and for others to follow. So allegations of evasion, of criminal activity, of I don't know what, very easy to make without evidence. All we can say is we are 100% compliant as far as we know with the laws of Kenya.
Watani ni obendete gwesokia na boigo kubulia serikali kuligerelia emebaga gwese chimbebe chechi county asoko neke mnango menta bale chi county chinde mwanchumulie ni otometinga ise ya Kenya ni otobwate 47 counties asebaganire chibe chikomentwa ase 47 echo chimento 10 echira chigwikira na 57 counties asoko neke nga osekerenga kyabekene no ko nekinga amagendero asinaro ramagendero amagendera tarabaga gwikirana okonyaranga maybe county erenene nikibasirba kubagirwa kiriko ba kigwisana asokwene amagendera se chinsemo oigo babere bakumurikira nakweneke nga Arsenal chinsemo nchiroro cyabere chikwebwa na ndonye ndiri cyari kubiko kwa bachi county nigo kira chikwimukerera igoro kiuchumi asensemo ya magendera nabigo kweneke abokolera iburubuya.
Simply to make a call for a further review of the boundaries of the various counties as they exist today. You will all remember that the 47 counties that currently exist were actually provisional, and that was the word. The key word is provisional. The original idea was actually to have 8 regions and 74 counties. That is when we were doing the 2010 constitution.
Additional counties was envisaged in the 2010 constitution. It was even envisaged that in 10 years it will be relooked at. It is in the committee of experts report. It is there, and we are now doing exactly what the constitution anticipates us for us to do. So we are proponents of 1 man, 1 vote, 1 shilling, 1 kilometer, 10 additional counties.
No, counties is not really a burden. I want to give an example of Gucha. Kisii County has got now 9 constituencies, receiving around 1 billion every financial year from the exchequer system. If now we create Gucha from Kisii County, we are using the existing boundaries of constituencies. Now Gucha will be having 4 constituencies. That's Bomachoge, Chache, Bomachoge, Borabu, Bobasi, na South Mogrango. Now the national cake going to the entire Kisii County will be cut into 2. However, next expense maybe is for the women rep and the senator. But the same man we are using just to create for more resources and devolve more functions to the common mwananchi. Very important.
Mwanchi umuriria gwikira buti turasoso mutimo komoke igoto skato nyegera ngwira nturasege kege Kerubo elinde togendera gusanga amange.
Ndizi TV ubwansu bw'umugusi. Company yuko bikuburendi ya One-on-One Security Services Limited iyo yabeire asobukoreri wetanige kakimyaka 53 nige kurwe bukoreri bw'ibirengo bigoro muno gucia sechi company naboigo n'abantu asorogonkorwa Afrika ya mocha jobis chabo imeyumuchu Nairobi niguchire M House Woodlands Road off Dennis Pretty Road no muchukisi niguchire Gisemba Plaza first floor egati yobukoreri bakurwa ngamuna static guarding services kubika bare CCTV na boigo monitoring mbabwate real time GPS tracking nkore ndabare abantabanene ngokora bare security consultancy nkorwa bare cyber security services nagokora security audit and surveys mbabwate boigo a unit ya K9 nkubeka bare solar systems na boigo amangana yokolenda chibesa na guchiena na guchia sechitakeire gose cash management ngokora bare private and forensic investigation biometric and visitor management systems nkwegelia bare amangana security alarm and fire fighting equipment na electric and razor wire fencing ilyokumanya mange mono aliyabagokora bakirisi gakichinde chonsi ilyonyoro bukoreri bw'ibirengo bigoro One-on-One Security Services Limited oburendi chinga gichonsi. Season yeye asegosori yukwegia ya papa antivirus
abana bari Mwakoli antivirus edeni yaga go sacha kuibera antivirus no mwakon.
Have you seen the poverty we are is within?
Obe maya ana mamu abo kanyoni.
I don't want to see your kanyoni.
Okanyoni as big head, as big head.
Kira rituko ria Jumanne, chinse ibere cha butuko, na boigo moiroro. Rituko ria Jumapili, chinse kiande cha mugaso.
Rikire moro ya meire mome. Ya rikire fire. Togenda baba. Ese inkurwa. Ndemaga yagwe mpaka 90.
Enyagitari ya World Fit Health Center iye gutoka imbejumu chokisi nige kurwa bukorere bwa conventional medicine, nutritional medicine na herbal medicine.
We are professionals, tunabanyagitari tusomete enchira ya kawaida yo kurwalia marwaire tukuruka nga conventional medicine, nutritional medicine and herbal in Malaysia. So ekero montago chesi nyagitari yeito ntuto make sure nga tuapimiro murwire bya twakorere diagnosis.
Boigo mbabwato bokorere bonde buna general consultation okolengwa as a laboratory, nutrition services, nutritional assessment, weight management, sports nutrition, natural and organic eating, plant-based nutrition, no bondo bonke.
So na kito kero montaji obviously ito to make sure nga twa device nutritionally nga kia koirena nga kia guitanga ko soko nyora marwe ito gutumia amarioga kawaida ito gutatukuruka na conventional medicine tuatumia mariogo akurua sendagira munabono vitamins ama fatty acids na ndito mwenye gutumia amarioga akurukunga herbal medicine no tole enyomba ya Uhuru Plaza Gabo Songo goroba ya gatatu erumu 307A and then tubwate branch mu Eldoret enyumba ya Kogo Plaza first floor room 2 and then tubwate branch ndumuchi Okaratina opposite Absa Bank.
World Fit Health Center. We are different, best because we have knowledge on how to treat using both ways. Rumba, imeburera ya rumba.
Wana mapambala tupatie nyama choma kila mtu mikono juu. Wana mapambala tupatie kachumbari.
This is rumba nostalgia. Emeburera, the really rumba nostalgia. Negi ntoko igukego swapaka the bone marrow. Yes, the DNA, you know.
Kere Jumamosi, chinsa isano mibere nenusu, chamo baso, goika chinsa ikomi, chamarwoba, na papasiko the bad.
Enyoni atakuwa nakuletea kila wiki Jumamosi kuanzia saa 7:30 mpaka saa 10. Rumba nostalgia emeburera.
Rumba nostalgia.
Utapenda rafiki yangu.
Utaipenda. Kuikira bono ayebunu mwagachi kwa manyiri eduka okugenda kujya ibintu byose biri gukorera imirimo yawo. Osmo Traders Limited niko babwate kitari cyo kwaranze ase nyumba yawo nabo igogobeka sinyasi bune babu egikoni living room nabo igo ekikobe kwesiko babwate sanitary wares ubuna chising chibakuri cheti cyo cyonsi showers, towel holders, soap dishes, racks, mirrors na hand basins. Chirangi chonsi chiria chikuburukanibwa ne computer nabo igo chiri spray paint no chire mbabwate chipboard buna chips and boards, MDF boards na chip boards. Ebinto au biyo gukora plumbing, buna PVC joints, PVC pipes na chi water taps chonsi nochire boigo na bokugura chi curtain rods, hood screws, chingulu chonsi, door locks, chi pipe wrench spanners, screwdrivers, banyore old Sansura building angena Kisii main bus stage gusua Kisimi ase number enotisano nebire eye mokianda inyeisano enotinye inyeisano nemo Osmo Traders Limited. Customer satisfaction guaranteed. Esukuru yokwegelya Burundi bw'Kigali ya Rocky Driving School nige gukomanya buna mpabwatu bukoryo bya asibirengo ao byo Burundi bw'Kigali nabo kwegera ekerengo gya A2 B1 B automatic B professional C light track D1 echuchire PSV Burundi bw'Kimatatu cha 14 seater D2 PSV Burundi bw'Kibus CE heavy trucks F PWD Chiabantu bali nobarema bwigomba bwate short courses cha BCD na B executive obuye bw'okwegira na Rocky Driving School mbuli yabuna ebirasi byabo nigo biri flexible chingakire cyonsi uratakasirituko nigo bagosomya omwaka mugima aborukia babo nigo bantire nikiumbe kiriye gikurigiro y'ubusera bw'Uburundi bw'Kigali gia NTSA bwigo nkwegirule asenze mugiyemesa basic mechanics basic first aid na yanda mange batalire imeyo Gusii asebali imeyo muchukisi asenyumba ya Market Plaza irange na Uhuru Plaza chinsage chinde nigochire asemeche ya Nyakoe ensemo ya Kyoge Junction na boigo asumuchukil Goris mbabu ati special offer bono asebali bakolire ekerasigia form 4 mwakere simi umu manager Rocky Driving School. Ndizi TV Ubwansu Bw'Gusii.
Biyamana sana mwanchi omulirya ndengo kwaligania ase ntunda ya kabere chinga kitogenda gusanga imeyo morobeli obwense obonchirya asitogenda kwemanya igoro yobokoreri ase sector eyobonchirya mwanchi omulirya nabokwenda kutubwate asinsemo chichi mitandao asensemo ya Facebook gwetera Ndizi TV News Digital nabega sensemeri ya YouTube gwetera Ndizi TV News asensemo ya website nabagatunya gwetera www.ndizitv.net bego nabakwenda gusangana into kerengeli kyago otomanyinga yokubwati umurobiri koru gwetera sinambere base screen yago mwanchi omulirya korali tukolia Jumatatu wikari tukolia Jumatano ntwaro chengaage karongia bitegeko kolekana sensemeri ya KICC memocho Nairobi asabara ikura gusaba bwatani kurwa sorongo rwa Africa batwalitege karugia bena singencho yo gukwanira igoro yo kurinda ogoncherya kwelira sorongo rwa Africa gukwana no murai wose gukwana murai wense korwa ase ege karekyo nigabete gakoenekia ogosirwa ase orongo rwa Africa saba bwatani ababete bawesoke kurwa se serikali na bali kurwa se chikampuni cy'abantu nyene hasibabete bakoena na chi billion agose US dollars 23 billion echioko enekia nga abantu ngo bikabali gosaba bwatani abungo bikabali mirobeli mikirano akoenekia nga nkolinda baro goncherera kwelire mwanchi mulirya atobere tokora ogoncherera kwelire ali abere gakoretwa osemi chandeli aberege kobuleto kubwatika no goncherera kwelire anamona kero kulirya nga omarakera ngati ebintu biri bikoletwa no goncherera kwelire omurakero kirukire enchare nige kweneki wabanta abange baba gusiria obuguma bwabo igo mwanchi mulire asege ikalike yakabetege ko korekana abasana barobomba bete bagotigo mayega nigo babete bakwerere mirobeli yabo barachikubeka amona kero toruchinga asichi county achigendete no bosimiki bwemete alinda kweneki anga nkolinda bale ogoncherera kwelire ndeto sange na sensemo yo moraibense nera toerera sensemo ya emirobeli kiri babere bakubike mikirno soko nekingano nyana sense ya Kenya gusati miyomocho Nairobi ambachikulinda ogoncherera kwelire.
I remain immensely privileged to have the tremendous honor of receiving and hosting you in Kenya for the Africa Climate Summit in Nairobi. Your presence has sent an emphatic signal throughout the world that a new Africa is here and that it means business. Your participation in the summit has further demonstrated your individual as well as our collective dedication to represent our peoples and champion their most important aspirations in every critical forum, regionally, continentally, and globally. The Nairobi Declaration, our common stand and firm resolution, reaffirms our determination and sets the stage for a new phase in the global climate action and sustainable development agenda, giving the future of socio-economic transformation distinct and an affirmative African character. I take none of this for granted, and I commend, honor, and thank you for your tireless effort, steadfast support, and willingness to go the extra mile for the sake of a brighter future for Africa and for humanity. During this action-focused summit, various stakeholders, including governments, the private sector, multilateral banks, and philanthropists, have made substantial commitments totaling a remarkable $23 billion for green growth, mitigation, and adaptation efforts across Africa. Let us give them a round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. Notable highlights include a transformative partnership investing $60 million over 2 years in expanding grid access in rural Burundi, a $4.5 billion commitment from the UAE, represented here by my brother, to boost renewable energy, substantial contribution from the European nations, and significant investments from the private sector, entities like Mazda, PowerGen, Leapfrog, Gross Boundary, and Husk Power, emphasizing renewable energy initiatives. As a result of our collective action, there can no longer be any doubt in any part of the world that Africa, humankind's cradle, is also its destiny. Our potential, made up of incomparable young, resilient, and motivated human capital, natural resource wealth, and green energy potential, is going to define the future of global opportunity for unprecedented prosperity and a new paradigm of industrialization that respects the environment and supports our planet's capacity to sustain biodiversity. We have successfully demonstrated that African solutions are not just appropriate for Africa's problems, they are necessary for global well-being. Our Agenda 2063 is an agenda for the benefit of all humankind, and the Africa we want aligns with the planet we need. The cradle of humankind is also its destiny, and Africa is the future, I dare say, of the world. Permit me, Excellencies, to express how profound and proud I am of the quality and scale of what we have been able to accomplish in this inaugural Africa Climate Summit. The boldness, vision, diversity, and thoroughness of the contributions made here in terms of debate, exhibitions, collaborations, and other activities have been deeply encouraging and also inspiring. The signing of Kenya's green hydrogen strategy with the European Union is expected to drive and accelerate green manufacturing and create thousands of new high-value jobs in addition to attracting large private sector investments. Additionally, there has been a notable increase in adaptation financing, reflecting a deep commitment to Africa's sustainable future and energy systems, aligning with the ambitious Nairobi Declaration. Our youth have not been left behind in the robust conversation that has taken place at this summit. They have provided us with excellent models on how we must approach our date with an African future, by being open to possibility, bold in imagination, and willing to embrace radical and radically transformative technologies, ready to question the things we take for granted and explore new alternatives, and most of all, always seeking opportunities to collaborate locally as well as globally to achieve positive change. Our youth stand out in this summit, and congratulations to them. It is wonderfully appropriate that Africa is a young continent. The future does not merely belong to us. Our youth make us the future. Proceeding on the recognition that the reform of the multilateral financial architecture and the mobilization of adequate financial resources is necessary for progress in our journey into the future, we have challenged the international community to exercise a level of imagination in governance and climate action that is commensurate with the imperatives to overcome the immense existential challenges of our time. I am satisfied that we have done very well in our first Africa Climate Summit. I'm delighted that much progress has taken place here, proud that we gave yours best and grateful for your steadfast support and commitment to our collective aspirations and unity. I thank you for kindly accepting our invitation to attend this summit. I don't take for granted everybody's attendance, big and small, and for your patience throughout the proceedings. I know some of them were long, you had to wait, but you demonstrated unimaginable patience. I want to say thank you very much. It was necessary. Your devotion to Africa's contribution to the transformation of global climate action is exemplary and admirable. I thank the Committee of African Heads of State on Climate Change for giving me the opportunity to champion this phase of our continent's journey to global leadership and in climate action and green industrialization. And I promise that I will do my very best. I also thank the Africa Union and the Africa Union Commission for their unstinting support for my leadership at the CAHOS and for this summit. Musa Faki and your team, Joseka and your team, thank you very much. The declaration we make to the world today defines and amplifies the African position on the way forward in climate action and the fundamentals that the international community must attend to in order to ensure that humanity's economic and ecological imperatives are effectively, coherently, and sustainably achieved. Going forward, we shall use every available opportunity in the busy multilateral calendar from the G20 meeting, the United Nations General Assembly in a fortnight, the annual meetings of the World Bank Group and the International Monetary Fund soon thereafter, as well as the COP28 to further prosecute our agenda. After our declaration, let us go home satisfied with a job very well done, proud of our progress we have made, and eager to embark on the next phase of our transformation.
Ekarekio kiabatege kubwatania abatani gwetania chiribu 10 korwa ase orogongo rwa Africa asumurubiri babete bakubwatirana na African Union erinda kwanekya nga orogongo rwa Africa ankurinda ruri ogunchiria kwirire aseba igoba bwatamararo goika umwaka w'ekiribu 2030 akwanekya nga aba Africa bonsi ngutumika bari ichinguru cy'umuriro kirekire environmental friendly asengencho yo kwenekya nga emirobiri mikirano yaberege kubika kurinde nigo serikali cy'iki county cyabere kikoborirwa kubwatirana na serikali nene soko enekya nga kubika bari emirobiri saine iyo kurinda ogonchirya kwirire kero mwanchi umuriro marebensa beteka kwenekya nga kipesa nchiroro kibekire ensemo ikibonenta kwenda sense Medici county kikire 50 billion cyabere kikubere asegeka asebengia Central Bank of Kenya chiboneta gutumikwa ase obokoleri ao anomono asensemo ichi county tiangto sange na barabo toigwe na kibabe getemiro biri mikenu ande na kibago chikwanekya obokoleri bya sense Medici county kubwatikana no kulinda ogunchirira yakwirire.
Well, we heard that Kenya is very ambitious in defining its own national climate targets. Started a few years ago, but now you were updating your national determined contributions, and that underlines really the role that Kenya is a regional champion for renewable energy. I want to congratulate you on that point. Well, your country is becoming a climate action leader on the continent, and we are also very happy in Germany that Kenya has joined the Climate Club. We welcome very much that the Kenyan government has published its first long-term strategy. This is an important instrument for channeling investment into priority sectors. And that Kenya's national climate change action plan spells out the goals of the LTS and the NDCs in a really concrete manner, because at the end of the day, implementation is the crucial moment. We are happy as Germany that we are here and able to support Kenya's efforts to draft those strategies. That effort has been based on a multi-sector approach, which has involved country governments, civil society and private sector. And I think the civil society engagement you've shown as Kenyan was very exceptional and should be underlined, because that was an event where more than 280 young Kenyans participated and they were building up their capacities to work on climate change as an important topic for the next generation.
UNDP is particularly appreciative of the ambition of this great nation, Kenya, which was amongst the first to update its NDC in 2020, committing to reduce emissions by 32% while scaling up adaptation action. Mr. President, I also want to congratulate you for your leadership of the Committee of African Heads of State and Government on Climate Change, and in particular, for your leading role of championing Africa's position as a key driver to the new global green growth agenda. Climate change is no longer a distant threat. It is here with us. It is a global and local emergency whose impacts are one of the major drivers that are decelerating the Sustainable Development Goals. We need urgent action now. And we need to do it in such a manner that it does not compromise Africa's sustainable development ambitions. This, together with the NDCs, is one of the reasons why the long-term low-emission development strategies are critical. I take this opportunity to thank all our development partners who have supported the processes that we are launching and unveiling here today. This include the World Bank, UNDP, the governments of Germany, Sweden, Denmark, and the Netherlands. Thank you for standing with the government of Kenya in this endeavor. Kenya developed its long-term low greenhouse gas emission development strategies, LTS, which aims to achieve net zero greenhouse gas emissions by 2050 while retaining the economic development trajectory. It sets out a vision, objectives, and priority interventions for delivering economic growth. It also assesses socioeconomic losses associated with climate hazards, as well as an estimation of the cost of adaptation interventions, and will be critical in guiding the successive nationally determined contributions, as well as the national climate change action plans up to 2050. Excellencies, distinguished guests, to align climate change actions to the government's development agenda and implementation of Kenya's nationally determined contributions and LTS, we have the National Climate Change Action Plan that is reviewed every 5 years. Today, we present for launching the reviewed National Climate Change Action Plan 3 for 2023 up to 2027.
With the commitment and leadership at the highest level, Kenya is building momentum to achieve the country's sustainable, low-carbon, and resilient development goals. The alignment between Kenya's midterm and long-term climate targets and the anchoring of these ambitious targets in the Climate Change Act demonstrates strong country ownership and a powerful example for other countries to follow. I also want to congratulate you, Your Excellency, in the achievement of convening the first ever Africa Climate Summit alongside the Africa Climate Week. Transformational change is needed to cut emissions and adapt to a changing climate, all while meeting the development goals of developing countries. Such a change requires groundbreaking coordination to mobilize resources. Through the NDC partnership, countries access timely expertise and funding, turning their NDCs into actionable policies, programs, and investment-ready projects. Kenya joined the NDC partnership in 2017, represented by the Ministries of Environment, Climate Change, and Forestry, and the National Treasury and Economic Planning. The NDC partnership has mobilized support for both ministries to update Kenya's first NDC, implement Kenya's climate commitments through the development of the second National Climate Change Action Plan, and now the third plan for 2023 to 2027 that will be launched today.
We all know how much climate change is impacting and ravaging our communities in several respects that I don't need to even mention here today. I do not doubt that the financing locally led climate action program will benefit millions of Kenyans and lay a solid foundation for robust climate adaptation efforts over the next decade. And this is where I will appeal as we all look at this initiative. High winds that are accompanied by pollution, landslide, mudslide, as we experienced some years ago. Stories, but stand warnings. We are at a crossroad in making tangible decisions to move from policy statements to taking concrete action to combat this global menace of climate change.
The FROCA program is designed to encourage cross-agency collaboration and vertical linkages from the community level up to the national level in addressing climate change action. It is a pioneer program for developing and even decentralizing climate finance in scale to specifically deliver locally-led climate adaptation and even some resilience actions, as well as strengthen county and national governments' institutional capacity to predict, plan, budget, implement, and monitor, report, and even report climate actions that have been successful. It is important to note that without financial support that helps communities to develop in an inclusive manner and adapt to climate impacts, climate change is projected to push tens of millions, especially at the low level, into extreme and even abject poverty. We have managed to secure a total of $297 million to finance this program. And I want to list how they have been contributed. The World Bank has provided from the IDA US $150 million. Denmark, through Danida, has provided $8.9 million. Sweden, through SIDA, has provided $14.4 million. German government, through KfW, has provided that $3.7 million. The Netherlands have provided $10 million. The government of Kenya has also made a contribution of $5 million, but it's also very important and encouraging to notice that the counties themselves, consistent with what Her Excellency Governor Iguru has mentioned, the 47 counties have made a contribution of $75 million, Your Excellency. So you can see that it's really some very important for us to recognize that. We are therefore honored and delighted to join the global community and our development partners to jointly launch the Country Climate Resilience Investment Grants under the FROCA program.
The launch of various policy financing instruments today is a significant milestone to not only Kenya that celebrates a two-level system of governance, but also a benchmark to African nations and the globe in our collective journey towards driving green growth and climate finance solutions for Africa and the world. This opportunity displays progress, determination, ambition, agility in climate action, harnessing together our efforts from a locally adaptation approach. Subnational governments, as institutions envisaged as drivers of transformative service delivery at the local level, are in the forefront to deliver a catalyzed, low-carbon economy and sustainable development. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, a decade old, all the county governments have enacted and implemented the requisite policy and legal climate change frameworks that anchor various processes and structures to galvanize climate action at the local level. This includes the county climate change funds, a ring-fenced financing model for climate action. In the financial year 2023-2024, the counties have cumulatively allocated from their development budgets an approximate 3 billion shillings, public funds supplemented by other additional financing from development partners and private sources towards climate action. In the heart of local development and local governance, the county governments have institutionalized the ward and sub-county climate change planning committees that identify, plan, and prioritize adaptations and mitigation projects based on their needs to accelerate adaptive capacity and resilience building.
One final request I want to make to my governors. As you know, ladies and gentlemen, whenever there is money for you, I do my very best to release that money. You are witnesses, even if you don't want to agree. Right? But now I have another problem, because many people are telling me now, you're spoiling governors with a lot of money. Because, as I talk to you, there is 50 billion Kenya shillings lying at the central bank. My request to you is please spend this money. I mean, if you spend this money, we will have many Kenyans who are either suppliers or programs roll out, and now I am going to add you more money. So my request to you is let us make sure that we roll out our programs, we spend these resources, it's good for our economy, and it makes me also collect more tax so that I can do what I have to do. Another commendable achievement under the FLOCA is the development of county climate change action plans through inclusive and through participatory climate risk assessments at the community level. Additionally, the government under FLOCA has transferred nearly $7 million, about $1 billion shillings, to counties to support county institutional reform and county-level participatory climate risk assessments. This support has borne fruit and pointed us in a highly encouraging direction towards progress in climate action. As a result, I will today issue Kenya shillings 7.2 billion, approximately $50 million to counties in the form of county climate change investment grants, which together with the Kenya shillings 3 billion, about $20 million of county-owned resource allocations, will finance local climate action priorities in agriculture, water, and national resource management in every county, cascaded to every ward. I very sincerely thank our governors for their support of the program, which has made it easier for us to achieve so much progress in such a very short time. In the same vein, I encourage them to go further and offer more robust support for our efforts to grow 15 billion trees over the next decade in order to achieve a national tree cover of 30% by the year 2032. I commend the effective collaboration between the ministries.
Habarai au manchumuliani wa babiri bagweso kebene nabo igokwene kyangamba chigusira eserikali asingincho yogosonsora emichando yaberige koretwa kobwatikana nogonchirira kwelira boigo abwatani korwa ase chikampuni chia abantu nyene nigo baine kiri kubeki ni bensemo eyibo igoira chikokonya asingincho yokolinda ogonchirira kwelira manchumuliri atengo tusange na barwa sensemo yabo toigwe mirobeliki babiri bakubeki mikira we
have no doubt, listening to our leaders, that they understand the existential threats posed by the climate emergency, and in totality, hearing from them, we have some convergence on very critical issues. And one of it is enhanced contribution by those who have caused the climate crisis to honor their commitment by deeply cutting their emissions, because that is where the biggest problem is, and ceasing from transferring the burden of action to the victims of their actions in the name of forced solutions to climate change. And so, also, providing, which is very important, adequate, predictable, and easily accessible finance, particularly for adaptation and resilience building in Africa. At this critical moment, Excellencies, we urge you to prioritize the suffering of the people of Africa, regardless of this outcome. We implore to act with one vision and speak one voice at the upcoming COP28 in UAE, and really urge you to really reflect on what is happening to our people. I want to conclude by saying that time is of essence. The scientific evidence is compelling, the window of opportunity is closing, and the stakes are too high. We must act swiftly, together, for a sustainable, ecologically just, equitable future for Africa and the world.
Africa, indeed, is a religious continent, and therefore nothing can be done without recognizing the influence of religion in whatever that we do as a people and as a continent. Incidentally, the Africa Climate Summit is taking place within the season of creation, where people of faith and good intentions are invited to pray and take action for our common home that is bleeding and groaning because of human actions driven by greed. We as a people of faith, we recognize that matters of climate change are matters of life and death and cannot be commodified, cannot be objectified, and cannot be politicized. And we are driven by that. And that is how, as people of faith, we gather during this summit, reminding ourselves that the welfare of the earth is our welfare. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, the Nairobi Declaration for us, having reviewed it, is both bitter and sweet aspects, which presents fears and hopes of the future. We as people of faith that are often the first respondents in crisis situations, including the ones that are caused by climate change, are wrestling with the question whether there is honesty and truthfulness in the entire process of negotiation. We are worried that the sweet part of the declaration, which is the call to action, will be subsumed by exigencies of time and many other aspects. Your Excellencies, as people of faith, we continue to pray and act rightly for the common good of all, while calling for greater transparency in climate finance management. It is greatly going to be beneficial if a mechanism like what was used during the Global Fund to combat HIV, malaria, and TB, the country coordinating mechanism is very important, and if we can institute that, all the stakeholders within a country will find space in climate financing that will lead to greater adaptation and resilience for our people. May God bless Africa, our home, and our future. I thank you.
I am Philippa Kreidel from Sierra Leone, and I'm standing in front of you on behalf of all African children. I'm so happy to stand in front of African leaders. For the past 2 days, His Excellencies, we have had deep discussions, and we all agree that climate change is a child rights crisis, even though we, the children, contribute the least. In Malawi and Mozambique, cyclones have damaged schools and hospitals. In Kenya, Somalia, and South Sudan, drought has caused girls to be sold into early marriage. In Nigeria and Sierra Leone, my country, loss of nature has caused our parents to lose their jobs. Across Africa, people fight for water and land, making families move, forcing children into child labor. We as children don't want adults to feel for us. We want to be included in finding solutions. My fellow children and I propose these solutions. Support children's projects like child-led organization on recycling and tree planting. Climate finance should support school feeding, not just food, but a balanced diet. We also need finance to keep girls in school, not in child marriage. Children are innovative. If you give us technology, we will give you the solutions for our water, agriculture, for our sanitation, and for child protection. And we need children in the climate discussion. We were not included in the planning of the summit. In the future, that has to change. President Ruto, African leaders, let us create an Africa fit for every child. And Santi Wuratenki, My name is Philippa Kreidel from Sierra Leone. In addition, kindly help me, my fellow children, please join me. On behalf of the children in Africa, we want to present our declaration statement to the President of Kenya. Thank you.
You can move faster. Let's go. Thank you. The President of Sierra Leone, please, sir. Please, sir. The young lady is from Sierra Leone, so wonderful to have the President there with her. Thank you. And here you have it, the children of Africa presenting their declaration and making it clear they have the solution, and we need to give them that space. Thank you so much.
In light of the increasing impact of weather, climate, and water extremes over the African continent due to climate change, the most vulnerability of the continent and the need for the whole Africa to urgently adapt to the impacts of climate change. The World Meteorological Organization supports strongly the development of the Nairobi Declaration, and also strongly committed to supporting the development of capacities for the generation of sound and impact-based information services for climate change adaptation and mitigation. In particular, WMO, together with the relevant UN agencies through the UN Early Warning for All, which is commissioned by the UN Secretary-General Mr. Guterres to cover all the nations with early warning services by 2027, in the next 5 years. Is supporting the strengthening of capacities of all the nations to generate and utilize the early warning services. In response, WMO with the African Union Commission and other UN agencies have just launched at this summit in the past 2 days the African Regional Climate Statement and the African Regional Early Warning for All Action Plan to enable information for supporting national, regional, sustainable socio-economic development. African solution need a global support and also global contributions. Your Excellency, to garner the essential political support and provide strategic leadership for the early warning for all, WMO would like to confer the WMO continental champion role to His Excellency, the President William Ruto. And this is a greater opportunity and also greater honor. And I do believe this will provide the great support for the African climate solution. Thank you very much, Mr. President.
We, the private sector of Africa, take this opportunity offered by the African Climate Summit 2023 to affirm our commitment and support in recognition of what our governments have been able to achieve. We feel, as the private sector, we have a role and a responsibility to work together with our governments to deliver on the commitments that the governments have made to the African people. The effort to address climate issues, we will start as a partner and deeply applaud the commitment of the African states to address climate action and to drive green growth and climate finance. We declare our support to the African Declaration and pledge our commitment in very specific areas, namely, on climate finance, we commit to establish mechanisms that scale up green investments from the private sector. On green investment, we commit to adopt green and circular business models, designing products that are environmentally friendly and ensure integration of sustainability throughout the value chains. On decarbonization, we commit to actively seek opportunities for nature-based solutions in decarbonization plans and our commitment to net zero, carbon markets, and just transition. On green transition minerals, we commit to invest in green mineral projects and their value chains to provide fair working conditions, ensure equitable wages, and safeguard the health and safety of employees.
Yake gima omwanje omuriria ni atwendete gusanga ime omorobiri obwense obonchiria stogendete gukwanira kubatikana ne gikari kiaba kegokorekana asa matuko atatu ime omuchio Nairobi asa kiaba gekubwatani abarai na boiga bwatani bande kurwa asorgongo rwa Africa igoro yo gukwanira igoro yo gonchiria kwirire korende maiga yokwera kwegikari kyo mbabete bakobeka emirobiri mikirano na kiabara igoro asorgongo rwa Africa barachikubeka chibesa ensemo era chikulireria amangana yarabe gakoretwa kubatikana no gonchiria kwirira omanchimuliria asumurubiri yobete gokuru kwa nga Nairobi declarations kubatikana no gusonsora kwemichando yo gonchiria kwirira sorgongo rwa Africa ndetoligererie toigwe ningi abarai abo babete bakobeka somunya Kerubo abete gakwenekya ngamba chikubwaterana na kwenekya ngangu sonsora bali michande yo asorgongo rwa Africa huikera samarorabo yo mwaka w'ekiri 2050
This week, African leaders from government and the private sector, as well as academic, scientific, technological, philanthropic, and civil society sectors converged in Nairobi to confer, consult, deliberate, and formulate consensus on a clear, new, bold, innovative, transformational, and distinct African position on how the international community must engage with the undeniable climate emergency that is threatening human well-being and life on our planet. The Africa Climate Summit is both a demonstration of unwavering collective commitment of the people of Africa to their vision to make humanity's first home here in Africa, a land of abundant potential, limitless opportunity, and the possibility of shared prosperity. It is also showcases our determination to mobilize a global coalition of emergency responders to ensure that the industrialization necessary to drive future economic transformation restores our planet's vitality and ecological balance. At the summit, our shared understanding became clear that Africa is not only the cradle of humanity, it is indeed the future, and that we are the last frontier of untapped potential in the form of hundreds of millions of young men and women who are educated, skilled, motivated, innovative, ready and willing to drive the enterprises and industries that will unlock the possibilities promised by our immense endowments of natural assets, mineral resources, and green energy potential in order to unleash opportunities and prosperity for Africa and the world on an unprecedented scale. At the summit, we also made it clear that we are aware of the unjust configuration of multilateral institutional frameworks that perpetually place African nations on the back foot through costly financing, which plunge our economies into debt trap and deny them resources needed to mitigate and adapt in response to climate change, invest in energy transition, and facilitate industrialization to create jobs and wealth, and to reduce inequality. As a continent, we have developed our common position, which encapsulates our ambition for socio-economic transformation and our climate action agenda. This position is anchored on the potential that Africa holds to decarbonize the global economy and set the stage for green industrialization throughout the world. We demand a fair playing ground for our countries to access the investment needed to unlock the potential and translate it into opportunities. We further demand a just multilateral development finance architecture to liberate our economies from odious debt and onerous barriers to necessary financial resources. We are clear in our minds and hearts that the international community must walk with us in this journey into a future of prosperity and security in an ecologically balanced, thriving planet. We are therefore determined to have difficult conversations, take hard decisions, and make uncomfortable changes to set international consensus on an Afrocentric and globally inclusive path into an African future. On a continent as young as Africa, it is impossible to imagine the future without the youth. Our young men and women in every African country are the primary stakeholders who will define and drive our agenda for green transformation and sustainable opportunities. Our message will not be clear if the voice of the youth is missing. Our efforts to achieve prosperity will not succeed if there are no opportunities for the youth. And our journey will be long and hard and in vain if the youth are not coming with us. Let the declaration of our commitment to act in unison and deliver our aspirations go forth in the firm, clear voice of a united Africa from Nairobi today, and tell the world about Africa's youth potential, opportunity, and its capacity to actualize a world of possibility. We understand that possibility, opportunity, potential, and youth all point to the future. That is why Africa is the continent of the future, because we are a young continent, green and futuristic. Thank you very much. May God bless you.
Biamono sana umanchi muliria kwa bere kugusangana into kultoka chage tomorobele bwense obonchilia goikabo naiga osemre kono kwa bere kukwimanya amange gwetera omorobele kwande gwikira umanchi muliria no gwikira omoele bomorobele bili tukulia lero atomerane e weekend litukulia Jumanne astra beto gusanga amange nabo kwande gutubate sinsemo chichi mitandao asensemo ya Facebook gwetera Ndizi TV News Digital wega sensemo ya YouTube gwetera Ndizi TV News asensemo ya website na batunya gwetera www.ndizitv.net magach kamera so connect na ebicha na boigoliogira gukira sole asenchira ya bene na erenyanchama abigaili trene Fridah Kerubo twara obuligeria borobia.